Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Is it a good game? Yes, it is. It is a very good game. I pretty much thought that this was going to be the best Kirby title ever made based off of just the gameplay trailers and all the hype behind it. And for me, it very much was. Visually speaking, it's a very charming game. It's got bright, wonderful colors, cute looking enemies, cute bosses too even. And it was an absolute joy just going through all the different levels and seeing all the different environments they had to offer. And there were some levels that actually had me stop in my tracks and just appreciate how good they looked. And then when it came to the gameplay itself, it very much follows the Kirby formula still very much. You're going through levels, fighting enemies with a myriad amount of different abilities at your disposal. And while there might not be as many abilities in this game, there's still quite a few. You can upgrade them all, at least 3, maybe even 4 times for most of them. And when you upgrade them, obviously Kirby gets a new visual flair in terms of his aesthetic. And then the abilities themselves change too. Sometimes they can be faster, but maybe a little bit weaker, or they can be slower and deal a lot more damage. And a lot of them had different charge abilities, and some of them have specific defense mechanisms. Some are good for ranged attacking, some are good for up close and hitting hard. I love that kind of thing. I love the fact that you could upgrade all of Kirby's different abilities. That's a first for the Kirby franchise as far as I can remember. So that was great, and it made going through the levels so much fun, even with different abilities, just replaying them again. Absolute blast. And even fighting the enemy bosses, they weren't too hard. They were always fun to fight against, and you shouldn't go into a Kirby game expecting that it's going to be particularly difficult. It's very much like the anti-Souls game. This is the game I played first or before playing Elden Ring, and it made me feel like a pro gamer. It gave me like a confidence boost going into Elden Ring, knowing I was probably going to get my butt stomped in that game, and I have been to a certain degree. So I should have maybe saved it for after, so I could have picked up my self-esteem and my gaming confidence after having my butt handed to me in Elden Ring. And where the hell did this game's soundtrack come from? It's like E's good. I kept expecting to see Adol Kristen pop up and just run by Kirby at some point, or see Dogi break through a wall. The soundtrack was an absolute freaking banger in this Kirby game. I still can't believe how good it was. My wife and I were playing it, kind of switching on and off. And I was talking to her, I'm like, is this soundtrack banging or is it just me? And she totally agreed. Like, it's phenomenal to listen to. And I'm probably going to go back and actually download some tracks now that I think about it. And back to the game being a bit on the easy side, even though it is easy, there were some challenging aspects to the game. But the funny thing with those is very much there's time trials in the game. That's the most challenging aspect by and large, I would say. And there's rewards for doing them, and they're the hardest part of the game to do, and the rewards for it are very ho-hum compared to some of the other easier things that have better rewards. And the only other thing aside from the time trials that's even remotely challenging is like the super secret boss of the game. Other than that, it's going to be very much a cakewalk, which is okay. Not every game needs to be super difficult. Some games can just be easy and really enjoyable. The only thing that it does to its own detriment is it makes its replayability a little bit lower. Because I was talking to my wife about it, and she's replaying Mario right now, and she's just saying like, yeah, I have no real desire to go back and play it because it was just so easy. She's like, with the Mario games, I get better gaming and I feel like I want to go back and tackle something that was too challenging for me before. Whereas in Kirby, you're not even going to have that really, maybe with one thing. And you can probably just load up your save file and then try it instead of going through the whole game again. So that sucks, but I still think it's worth the price of admission, even if it's just to play through it one time. Because it's an absolute delight to go through. And the story, while it's nothing crazy for a Kirby game, it does such a huge 180 towards the end in terms of tone. I was just like, am I still playing the same freaking game? Don't get me wrong, that's not a bad thing. It's awesome. I love what they did at the very end with its story. So no, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, another awesome Switch title, the best Kirby game ever made. So go check it out, give it a play, and hey, if you do end up playing it, or if you've already played it, let me know in the comments. See you soon.